In Rise of Kingdoms, when you are transitioning from early game to late game, you are going to need to start crafting some legendary equipment so that you can stay relevant. And you will do it over the course of time, meaning that you will most likely craft them one by one when you have the blueprint and enough materials. And because of that, it is crucial to know which legendaries you should prioritize and which ones you can wait until the very late game and keep using the budget alternatives. Because even between the best in slot legendaries, some are simply more valuable or impactful than the others. And since we don't have unlimited gems, blueprints, or materials, we need to prioritize the legendaries that gives us the maximum boost on our field fighting performance with the minimum number of material costs. And that's why today we are going to divide the legendaries that are included in the best endgame set for each troop type into two different slots: mandatory and luxury. The idea behind the video is pretty simple. Equipment that are in the mandatory or must column are the ones that you should prioritize or craft as soon as possible. But for the ones on the right column, you can wait a lot longer to craft them, and instead you can keep using the cheaper alternatives. Now, deciding this depends on two different things. Number one, the legendary piece itself. Number two, the cheaper alternative. Better the stats of that budget alternative or versus stats of that legendary equipment that you need to craft in the endgame set, the more luxury crafting that piece it gets. Yes, at the end of the day, you want to craft every single legendary that is included in the best endgame set for each troop type, but as I said, it is important to know which one you should prioritize so that you get the maximum boost on your field fighting performance as early as possible. We are going to start with infantry, then we're going to move on to cavalry and archers. And for infantry, I have, as you can see, two different legendary configuration. I'll explain why. On the left side, for each troop type, you will always see the best non-legendary equipment configuration, and on the right there will be the best endgame set for that troop type. For cavalry, we will only have one configuration. Archers is a little bit complicated. I will explain when we get there. Now, without further ado, let's go.
Spartans! What is your profession?
Right, starting with infantry, let me explain why we have two different sets. If you haven't watched this video, definitely go check it out. This is a great video explaining mathematically which equipment is the best to craft for each troop type. The one on the top that includes the leadership pieces and the sacred grips, mathematically it is the most optimized infantry endgame gear that will give you the best numbers. And on the bottom we have the tried and true 4 pieces infantry set. Yes, the numbers are not going to be as good, but it gives you 10% movement speed. Now, it depends which one you need to craft, and that's why I decided to include both of them, because some of the infantry marches are way faster than the others. So if you think your march is slow, I think you should definitely, let's say you are using, I don't know, Gorgo Liuce, you should go with the 4 pieces infantry set, because it's going to be super slow. Enemies are going to be able to get away from you pretty easily, but you won't be able to get away from them, so the numbers don't even matter at a certain point. If you have a fast infantry march, let's say Liuce and Alexander the Great, and then you should go with the ones that give you the best numbers. For example, for my own account, I already have an infantry march, which is William Wallace and Liuce, and soon we are going to invest on Ragnar Prime with Scipio, and I'll just compare which one is faster. And once I craft the equipment configuration on the top, I will put it on my faster march, faster infantry march, and the one on the bottom, 4 pieces infantry set, it will go to my slower infantry march. Now let's start talking about which pieces are mandatory, should be on the must column, and which ones are just luxury, you can keep using the epic ones. Let's start with the set on the top, and we're going to go from left to right. First off, KVK helm. I would say even though it's a KVK item, it's a must, it's a mandatory, and this means when you're in Season of Conquest and you start getting the conquest coins to get this blueprint, you should be ready. You should have enough materials to craft this thing as soon as you get it. And the reason is pretty simple. If you take a look at the legendary itself, it gives us defense, which is great. And if you take a look at the cheaper alternative, it gives us infantry attack, which is the most saturated stat in the game, especially in Season of Conquest. So you definitely don't want to have that for a long time. So if you're going to craft this set, go ahead and get yourself a KVK helm as soon as possible. The second one is the weapon. It is definitely a luxury. Yes, it gives a lot of stats, but the Gatekeeper shield for a blue item, it is amazing. And as we already discussed at the intro, we don't have unlimited blueprints, we don't have unlimited materials. This means we are trying to get the best out of our investments, and with that perspective, to me, Gatekeeper shield is basically one of the best items in the game. So weapon goes into the luxury column. Then we have the 2 leadership pieces. I think they are also luxury. You can certainly keep using your epics a little bit longer, because Korak's humility, the legs for infantry, is just so good. Just like Gatekeeper shield, it's an amazing item, and this is like one of the last things that you want to do, one of the last upgrades that you want to do on your infantry set. This means like for a very long time, you're not going to get 2 pieces set bonus for your leadership pieces. And Frost Dress is also an amazing epic item. This means if you're not getting the 2 pieces leadership set bonus, because legs is basically going to be your very last upgrade, or like one of your very last upgrades, What is the point of crafting this? You don't need to. It's a luxury upgrade that you'll need to do very later in the game. So both pieces goes into the luxury section. Then we have, of course, Hope Cloak. For infantry chest, it is the best in slot, and also you can get it from crystal keys. I got mine from the crystal keys for free. Blueprint is free. It is the best in slot, so this is definitely a must upgrade. And on top of that, the chest piece for epic, again, just like the helm, it gives you attack which sucks, so you definitely want to craft your Hope Cloak as soon as possible for your infantry march. Last but not least, for this set, we have Sacred Grips, and just like the boots, I think Epic Gloves for infantry is also amazing. Yes, it is an upgrade, and the blueprint is also free, so just like Hope Cloak, you can get it from crystal keys. Yes, if you have some excessive materials, you can certainly craft it, but if you don't, it is definitely a luxury upgrade. It is not a must upgrade. So basically what we are doing with our mathematically optimized infantry set, we are crafting Hope Cloak and the KVK helm. These two are our only must upgrades as fast as possible. Now let's move on to the configuration in the bottom, which includes 4 pieces infantry set, our Hope Cloak, again a must upgrade, and our helmet from the set is again a must upgrade. As fast as possible, you craft these two, you get rid of the chest, you get rid of the helm. Simple as that. Now from there, again, Karak's humility is going to be like, it's going to serve you for a very long time. So Eternal Night is a luxury upgrade for sure. But these 3 is a little bit different. When you are going for 4 pieces set, you have one reason: your march is slow. And if your march is slow, you are trying to make it faster as soon as possible. That's why technically all these can go into the must section. So Eternal Night will be your only luxury piece. However, we can also make a prioritized list between these 3. Weapon for sure is going to be your very last upgrade. Again, simply because of how good this Gatekeeper shield is. And it is going to be like the only piece in your infantry equipment configuration that gives you health bonus. And then we have the boots and the gloves. So how we are going to decide which one should we craft? Should we just go with the ones that we have the blueprints or not? The way I would do it would be certainly gloves and the boots. And the reason for that is related to a different troop type, and that is Cavalry. Because in our endgame Cavalry set, it should be on your screen right now, our gloves, which is Navarre's control, is a free one. Just like Hope Cloak, you can get the blueprint from the crystal keys. But on our infantry equipment configuration, both boots and the gloves are the set pieces, which means when I get the blueprint choice chest for the boots, I would have to choose between infantry or cavalry. However, if we prioritize gloves, because remember, Cavalry 1 Navarre's control is free, you can get it from the crystal keys, so you don't need to waste your blueprint choice chests. And what you do is you use gloves chests for infantry and boots chests for cavalry, and after you craft your cavalry boots and infantry gloves, and then you can move on to infantry boots, and then finally the weapon and last upgrade is going to be Eternal Night. So basically this will be the order that I will craft my legendaries if I choose to go with 4 pieces infantry set, Hope Cloak, set helm, then set gloves, set boots, weapon, and finally Eternal Night. Now we're gonna move on to Cavalry. And this time, as you can see, we have only one endgame equipment configuration because it is pretty clear that like there is nothing better for Cavalry. So we only have 6 pieces that we need to discuss. First, let's talk about the KVK helm. And I would say this is definitely a luxury because for some reason I have Abyssal Visage here, but this needs to be the blue helm for Cavalry, and you can easily get it special talented. It gives you a lot of defense. Yes, it is a big upgrade, but again, there are more important upgrades, more important legendaries that you need to craft before this one. And then we have the KVK weapon. This is easily one of the most luxurious things that you can craft, and it's because how good the epic weapon is for Cavalry, Heart of the Saint. I love this piece. When you get it special talented, it will serve you for a very long time. So this definitely not something that you should prioritize. You should craft as soon as possible. You can certainly keep using this one for a very long time. And then we have the chest, a must upgrade as fast as possible. Now the reason is not the Dark Lord's Blessing. It's actually pretty good. It gives you defense, and when you get a special talented, well, it gives you a lot of defense. However, the reason is the boots. If we take a look at Cavalry boots, it gives us attack, unfortunately. But the legendary one, it gives us health. By upgrading this epic to legendary, we are increasing the total number of stats, but we are also changing the attack stats to health, which is massive. This is basically the first thing that you need to do for your Cavalry march. And after that, since we are only using 2 pieces from the Cavalry set, of course we want to get it as fast as possible because we already crafted one of the pieces. So why not get the chest? Yes, even though this one gives you defense, still the legendary one again gives you health, which is of course better. So these are our 2 priorities. Then we have the Edge of the Dawn. Now this is a little bit tricky because there are a lot of players that crafted it, and the only reason is it is free. You can get it from crystal keys, and once they get it, they craft it. However, this is like one of the last things that you need to do for your Cavalry march, because if you take a look at the Gladiator epic one, you get the special talented. It is almost as good as Edge of the Dawn. Yes, I know all these legendaries, when you iconicize them, you upgrade their awakening level, of course, the gap is going to be a lot bigger, but that is a hefty investment. That is something that you will do very, very later in the game. So for someone who is just transitioning from early games or mid game to late game, I think this is one of your least priorities. So definitely a luxury equipment. And as the final thing, we have Navarre's control. Now, I wouldn't say it is a must or a luxury. It's a little bit weird because it is great. It gives you health, but Ice Edge Sufferance is also, I mean, the Epic Glows is also really good. So it depends on you. If you have the blueprint, if you have some extra materials, then you can definitely go ahead and craft it as your third legendary item. And once you craft these three, I would say you are good to go and you get your Season of Conquest coins. Definitely get the helm first because Epic one, it gives you attack, which is not great. If you have the blue one, yes, it gives you defense, but the stats, like the difference between the stats of the blue one and the legendary one is just very, very substantial. So this helm right here is one of your priority luxuries. And after you craft these four, you can certainly slow down and start working on your other marches, craft other must upgrades or must prioritize legendaries for your other troop types, and then you can come back to Cavalry, craft a weapon, and finally craft Edge of the Dawn. Now let's move on to archers. I again have only one archer equipment configuration, and the reason is not the same as Cavalry, because for Cavalry it was so obvious that that is certainly the best set in the game for endgame. However, for archers, the reason why I have only one configuration is completely the opposite. There are so many archer equipment configurations in the game, and if we start doing this for every single one of them, this video will be like over an hour. And that's why I selected the one that I think is the best. It may not be the best, but this is what I think is the best. And it might look a little bit weird because it has the Milky Way chest, it has 3 leadership pieces. Like you might say, what is the point of 3 leadership pieces? Because you either want to have 2 or 4 usually, so that you can get a 2 pieces set bonus or 4 pieces set bonus. But like 3 is a very weird number. You don't get any extra benefits for the set. But I think the main problem with Archer Marches, even with the best ones, Zhuge Liang and Herman, they just die so fast. And what I'm trying to do with this one is, I am trying to make them as tanky as possible. Simple as that. However, if we talk about some possible alternatives, Ian's glows instead of the leadership glows, yes. Can you go with 6 pieces archer set? Yes. Can you go 2-2-2, meaning 2 KVK items, 2 set pieces, and 2 leadership pieces? Yes. Can you go with leadership legs, archer set boots, and leadership glows? Yes, that is another widely used set. So as you can see, there are so many endgame archer configurations. I decided to go with the one that I think is the best. Now, there is one thing that we need to keep in mind when it comes to archers. This 6 pieces full epic archer equipment configuration is actually amazing. However, of course, we still have some legendaries that we need to craft as soon as possible / prioritize, and we have the luxury ones. Right, so KVK Helm is certainly a luxury. It gives you a ton of attack, but it's still attack. The Revival Helm, on the other hand, it of course doesn't give you a lot of stats, but it gives you defense. So it is still pretty decent, and that's why Helm goes into the luxury column. KVK Weapon again gives you, just like the Helm, it gives you ton of stats, but the epic alternative, one special talented, certainly not bad, so Weapon also goes into the luxury column. Milky Way, I would say, is a must craft because it's going to give you a lot of health, 12% health, like the highest number that you can get. Yes, the epic chest is, revival chest is not bad, but this one is just way better in my opinion, and it's free. Once you get the blueprint from your crystal keys from your equipment chest, I would certainly craft it and upgrade it. And then let's talk about the boots first. This one is going to be a luxury upgrade. There are 2 reasons. Yes, it's a great item. However, the epic boots for archers, again, it gives you massive amount of health for a boot slot. So you're gonna already have a very, very good item. And on the other hand, since we have 3 pieces from leadership set, as I said, it is kind of pointless when it comes to set bonuses having 3 pieces. You either want to have 2 or 4, but in this configuration we have the weird number 3, so that means we can certainly craft one of those 3 very later in the game, and that is going to be our boots, just because how good our epic alternative is. And then we have the legs and the glows. These are going to be massive upgrades for your archer march, because these 2 pieces from the revival set, the epic ones, they unfortunately give you attack. So not only, for example, for this one we are changing attack to health, but also we are crafting 2 pieces from the leadership set, which is going to give us, of course, extra bonuses. So in my opinion, it should be on your screen right now. The ones on the left should be for each troop type. The ones that you prioritize, you craft as soon as possible, your mandatory legendary equipment. And the ones on the right are luxury. You can certainly keep using the epic alternatives and blue alternatives in some cases, and craft the legendaries, the luxury legendaries, very later in the game. Hope you guys liked it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you find it useful, make sure to subscribe for more useful Rise of Kingdoms videos. I see you on the next one. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.